Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in today. I'm Chris with Afflictor Broadheads, and today we're going to talk about target panic as it associates with using a compound and in a hunting situation. So when we talk about target panic, that can really encompass a wide range of different feelings and situations and scenarios, all the way from you just weren't prepared or have confidence in your setup to more of a traditional true target panic, which is an involuntary response. Your body involuntarily responds in a negative way to some sort of stimulus, whether that is sound or vibration or something of that effect. If you want to think of it in a way of shooting a pistol or a long gun of sorts, you can get a quick idea of target panic if you've ever shot those and you've flinched or slapped the trigger or looked away or blinked or winced or any of those things. Your body just automatically does that in an expected situation where there's going to be a loud bang or some recoil or something like that. Well, that can also very easily happen when it comes to archery. And for compound shooters, if you're looking at true target panic, it can actually become a problem. Now, there's other things associated with target panic too that are separate, like an adrenaline rush. It's a totally different scenario, and we will talk about that a little bit here before the video ends. But I want to really concentrate on target panic that's associated with an involuntary response, like you just can't control it. What are some easy steps that you can do to really help gain control of those situations when you're in the field? What I like to do is what helped me very early on in my archery career, even as a teenager, was a slow step methodical process. This is a process that you are going to repeat as you practice over and over again. You are going to develop some specific steps that you are going to consciously walk through one at a time, slowly as you practice, and also when you are actually in a hunting situation. And it will really help decrease and oftentimes totally eliminate your target panic issues. The number one thing that you need to know on the list is distance. Number two is the draw. Number three is your anchor point. Number four are your pins. Number five are the animal's vitals. And number six is the release. Sometimes when you get to your tree stand, I always have my rangefinder. I yardage everything first thing before I even get comfortable, and I know those ranges. If you don't have access to a rangefinder, you should have paced those areas off, maybe stick a stick in the ground at 20, 30, 40, however far you're comfortable shooting in a couple different areas. Some people use ribbons or tacks or whatever it is, but yardage, the number one thing you have to know, and this will play into this process as we move along. Number two, as we start to define that and break that down, is the draw. How you're drawing your bow. When you draw, you are making sure that your string has a clear path. And what I mean by this is when you have pulled your compound back and maybe you have different gear on than what you practice in, maybe there's a button at the brim of your hat, something is different from what you were typically doing, and so now you've changed this string path. So you have to be conscious of your draw. And something we're going to talk about in depth here real quick is make sure that you are practicing exactly how you're going to be hunting, and we'll talk about that shortly. Number three is your anchor point. So you want to secure your anchor point. This is very important for consistency when you're a compound shooter. As you draw back, whatever your release is, however you're doing it, if you have a nose button, a kisser button, however that string is coming back and you're anchoring. When I bring back with my release, my hand is always in the same position and my thumb always hooks the back of my jaw right here, same spot. If I shoot a lot in the same day, it actually gets sore right there, but I know I've anchored in the same spot because that consistency will really help you, because once you're in a tree stand and now you have a deer in front of you, you may not anchor in the same spot because you're excited. You are having this anxiety already about there's an animal here, I'm actually going to get a shot, this is happening, and you're just pulling back back and looking through your sight window and releasing. So you want to make that step a conscious effort. The next step that we want to talk about is number 4, your pin. You want to settle your pin on the target. Oftentimes, we are so excited that we're not truly settling on our pin exactly where we want it to go. And so you get the sight window of your sight, you get the deer in that picture, the body's in the middle, and you go ahead and release. So when you are picturing your sight window with a step before with your pins, you want to picture the vitals on your animal. And what's important about this is you want to visualize where your arrow is going to enter and exactly where your arrow is going to exit and what vitals are in that path based on the anatomical position of the animal. It's very important. This part of the process will help ensure that your arrow path is going through vitals and you're having the quickest kill possible. The last step is release. Now, this step is probably one of the most important ones because oftentimes when we release, because of target panic, I think release is one of the most important factors because your body is subconsciously expecting the bow to go off, if you will, when you hit the release, when you hit the trigger, no matter how you're releasing, what release you're using for your compound. Your subconscious is thinking of that. It's anticipating noise. It's maybe anticipating a little hand shock, and it may cause you to flinch, may cause you to close an eye, to blink, to twitch, to turn your head slightly. But most often it causes you to slap your trigger if you have a trigger style release, or your back tension release, you end up doing it harshly or differently than you typically would when you're practicing. So that last step, number 6, is very important. Sometimes the release is a big cause of your panic because somebody gave you a release or started you on a release that worked for you, but it's really not the release you should have. You're not comfortable with it all the time. It's giving you a little bit of problems. And I would always suggest go trying some other releases to make sure that you have one that you're really comfortable with. It settles in nice. It feels good. It's the right distance to your D loop and you're really comfortable. And that will help you as you develop these steps. And as you practice that methodically over and over, it becomes second nature and your subconscious is no longer anticipating or anxiously waiting for something to happen because it's part of a natural process. That seems to turn the tide in the favor of somebody that's having target panic. This process takes time. It's something that takes a lot of practice, but if you are suffering from any type of severe target panic that is affecting you in the woods, that is any of those scenarios, it will really help you. So I hope there was some helpful nuggets in there. Good luck in the woods. If you have any comments, please drop them below and we'll get right back to you. Thanks for watching.